Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, where we experience life through the gift of babbling. Friends, I was thinking, maybe instead of experience life through the gift of babbling, it should be win at life through the gift of babbling. How's that? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, where we win at life through the gift of babbling. That's good. Where we win at life with the gift of babbling. Through the gift of babbling. Win at life through the gift of babbling. Now that is a tagline. Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, where we win at life with the gift of babbling. Where we win at life through the gift of babbling. Wow. Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, where we win at life through the gift of babbling. Wow. Friends, this is getting serious over here. Alright. Well, today we're going to continue. We're going to look at the Gemara, discussing the mission that we learned at the end of the day yesterday regarding all this stuff that a wife needs to do. Okay. Says the Gemara, Tochenes so what do you mean she grinds stuff? The grinding is like the wheel in the water, and the water turns, and then it like turns the grinding millstone thingy, and then you have flour. So what does she have to do? So Ela Ema Mitachenes, she does like the kind of Facebook meta things around the grinding, like preparing the flour and catching it in the bowl and stuff. V'ibay Sema, alternatively, a hand grinder. And our Mishnah, which says that the wife needs to do all these things, is not like Reb Chia. The Tani Reb Chia, the Reb Chia taught, "En isha ela liyofi," that a woman is only for her beauty. I guess not to be making flour and bread and baked goods and stuff, but for beauty. En isha ela lebanim, a wife is to have babies. V'tani Reb Chia, and Reb Chia taught, "En isha ela tachshita isha," that a wife, you buy jewelry for your wife. Fellow wants to make his wife look very radiant, so buy flax. Flax is what again? Flax is linen garments. If you want, I guess, your daughter to be particularly radiant, feed her chicks. And give her milk to drink, when she's reaching puberty. So the Mishnah says that a wife needs to nurse her child. So let's say that our Mishnah is unlike Beis Shammai. The Tanya is we learn in the Brisa. What if a wife makes a neder, a vow that she will not nurse her child? So Beis Shammai says, okay, she could stop nursing right then and there. Even if she's in the middle of nursing, she can stop. Or I guess she does stop. She made a vow, she's not going to nurse the child. Beis says, we could force her to nurse this child, because after all, it is one of the things that she needs to do. Nizgarshin, if she gets divorced on the other hand, so then she's no longer married, and she no longer has to do this as part of her marriage stuff. Eno kofa, well then he can no longer force her to compel her to nurse the child, because she's not his wife anymore. Now if the child recognized the mother and would only nurse from that mother, nosin laschara, so then the ex-husband can pay her v'chofa manikaso, and then force her to nurse the child, because otherwise it's dangerous. So when they're married, he can compel her to nurse this child, and if they get divorced, then he can compel her to nurse the child, but he has to pay her. So you can even say it's Beis Shammai, right? Meaning our Mishnah says that she has to nurse the baby. Beis Shammai says that if she makes a vow that she's not going to nurse the baby, so okay, that's essentially okay. So she has to stop nursing, but she's allowed to make the vow. So it sounds like Beis Shammai would not agree. Our Mishnah is not in line with Beis Shammai, because our Mishnah says that she has to nurse the baby. Beis Shammai says that she could make a vow not to nurse the baby, and that's okay. So you can even say that our Mishnah is Beishamai Achab Ma'askinam. When she makes the vow, it's talking about Kagon Shenodra Hi V'Kiyem La. Who? It's talking about, well, she made the vow that she's not going to nurse the baby, but he didn't annul it. So he's sort of an accomplice as well. So V'Kasavi Beishamai Hu Nosin Etzba Ben Shinel. Beishamai says it's his fault. And therefore, since it's his fault, she stops nursing and he's got to deal with it. And Beisil Sabi Hi Nosin Etzba Ben Shinel, whereas Beisil says it's her fault. And because it's her fault, she has to continue nursing the baby. V'niflagu b'Ksubis b'Hama. Perfecti Gemara. Why say it specifically about nursing, right? You can just say it about the Ksuba as well, right? As Rashi says, Nadru milahanuslo. If she makes a neder that she's not going to get any benefit from him, V'kiyim lab, right? And then the fellow didn't annul the vow. So you could say the same thing there. That Bishami would say that it's his fault, and therefore they would have to get divorced, and he'd have to pay the Ksuba. Whereas Beis Hillel, right? So Bishami would say that. Beis Hillel would say that it's her fault, and therefore she would not get the Ksuba. So why argue specifically about nursing? They could argue about just saying that she's not going to get benefit from the fellow. More so, Tanya Bishami Eino Manika. That also we have a brisa where Beishama says she doesn't need to nurse the baby. So clearly, Beishama's opinion is that she does not need to nurse her baby. I mean, the baby needs to eat, but it doesn't have to be from her. So rather, it must be that the Mishnah is not Beis Shammai. The Mishnah is the opinion of Beis Hillel that she needs to nurse the baby. So we had said that if the baby recognizes the mother, so then she continue. All right. So if they get divorced, so she doesn't need to nurse the baby anymore. But if the baby recognizes the mother and will only nurse from the mother, so then he pays her, and then she nurses the baby even after the divorce. Ad kama. At what point is it considered that the child recognizes the mother? Amar Yirmiyah bar Abba, Amar Rab, 3 months. That it takes 3 months, 90 days. V'Shmuel Amar 30 yom. Shmuel says 30 days. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Rabbi Yochanan 50 yom. Rabbi Yitzchak says the name of Rabbi Yochanan 50 days. Okay, so either 90, 30, or 50 days it takes for a baby to recognize and only nurse from the mother. Amar Shimi bar Abaye says Rav Shimon bar Abaye, Halacha Rabbi Yitzchak Sham Mishum Rabbi Yochanan, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yitzchak, who says the name of Rabbi Yochanan, 50 days. Bishlam Rav Rabbi Yochanan, I understand the opinions of Rab, who says 90 days, and Rabbi Yochanan, who says 50 days. Okay, it depends on the yingel, depends on the child. Some child it's 50 days, some child it's 90 days. Ella the Shmuel, ki haigavnu mimishkachasla, but Shmuel says it's 30 days. Is that really possible that after 30 days a child is committed to one person, right, will be committed to the mother? So Kiyasa Rami bar Yechezkel Omar, when Rami bar Yechezkel came, that was Rav Yehuda's brother, Rami bar Yechezkel, Lo tetzisinu lahane klal d'chal Yehuda achi mishmei d'Shmuel, says Rami bar Yechezkel, don't listen to these things that my brother allegedly said in the name of Shmuel. Achi Amar Shmuel, this is in fact what Shmuel said. Kolzman shemakira, however long it takes for the yingel to recognize his mother. So whether it's less than 30 days, more than 30 days, whatever it might be, however long it takes. Okay. There was a woman who came before Shmuel. Now she was divorced and there was a baby and she didn't want to nurse the baby. And she said to so Shmuel says to Rav Dimi bar Yosef, Zilbadka, go and check and see if the yingel is already attached to the mother. So she sat this mother, so Rav Dimi bar Yechezkel sat the mother among other women, Vishakle Livara, and then took the yingel, and was sort of passing the yingel among all of the women to see if at any point this yingel will have an attraction towards one particular woman, i.e. the mother. Kimatu legaba, when the yingel got to the mother, havas kamazve laapa, the yingel looked up towards the mother. Kivashtani leena, she looked the other way, mine, from the yingel. She didn't want it to be proven that she's going to have to continue nursing the baby. Amarla netafinaich kum dribrich, and Rab Dimi bar Yosef says, look, this yingel is connected to you. You got to nurse the yingel. Suma menayada. What if you have a blind baby, and the blind baby is not going to be able to look at the mother and see her? So then how do we know by a blind baby if it's considered attached or not? Omer Rav Ashi Bireichu V'Taima. A blind child will be able to recognize his mother by smell, by taste. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Yonek Tinok V'Holech Ad Esim V'Arba Chodesh. So a child nurses for 24, up till 24 months. Become Beilech Kionik Sheket. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. It says Rabbi Eliezer that a child can nurse for 24 months. After that, it's already considered not good. After 24 months. Rabbi Yoshua says Rabbi Yoshua Afilu Arba V'Chomish Shanim. A child can even nurse for 4 or 5 years. Perish La'achar Esrim V'Arba Chodesh. But says Rabbi Yoshua, if the child after 24 months stopped nursing, V'Chazer, and then resumed nursing, Kionik Sheket, then that it's no good. It's not a good thing. Okay. Omar Mar, we said earlier, Mikan ve'elach ki yonek sheket. So we had said earlier that Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is that a child nurses for up to 24 months. After that, it's already considered like a sheket, like disgusting, not good. V'amini, but 1 second. What do you mean nursing after 24 months is no good? We have a brayso that says, Yachol yecholov ma'al cheshtayim tameh. Is it possible that human milk is asur? V'dinu. On the one hand, I might say, that when it comes to an animal, a non-kosher animal, for example, a camel. A camel is not a kosher animal. As long as it's alive, you could touch it all you want. Every day of the year, you could touch a camel. You won't be tameh. You will remain tahor. And yet, the milk of a camel is asur. Now, a woman who sometimes is a nida, and if you touch her, you will become tameh. I would think that certainly then her milk should be asur, right? If the milk of a camel is asur, the milk of a human should be asur. Tamulomar. Therefore, it says that the camel chews its cud. Oh, right, but it doesn't have completely split hoofs. I think that's the problem with the camel. Wait, what does that mean that it chews its cud? It just keeps on re-chewing and swallowing its own food? That's gross, right? I think that's pretty gross. What, they keep on vomiting up their food into their mouth and then just re-chew it and then re-swallow it? Alright, be honest, who just vomited? So it says, Hu tameh, that the camel is tameh, vein chalav malchei shtayim tameh, but the milk of human milk is not asur, is okay. So we see that human milk is tahor. Ela tahor, it's pure. So yachol otzi es hachalav sheino shave bakol. So maybe I'll say, okay, fine. So human milk is tahor. V'lo otzi es adam, but maybe I wouldn't say the same of human blood. Maybe human blood is asur. Shu shave bakol. Right? So again, so Yachol Otzi es Achalav she'enu shava bakol, v'lo Otzi es Adam she'u shava bakol. That when it comes to animal milk, so some animal milk is asur, some animal milk is mutter. For example, animal milk of a camel is asur, but animal milk of a cow is mutter. I was at WeWork a few weeks ago, and there was a guy who was drinking milk. He poured milk into a glass and he drank it. So I saw it. I saw somebody do that. So there are certain kinds of milks that are kosher. So when it comes to milk of animals, so some milk is asur, some milk is mutter. But when it comes to blood of an animal, all animal blood is asur. So therefore I might think, maybe, okay, so we say that human milk is mutter, and we say, look, at the end of the day, animal milk, while some of it is asur, some of it is mutter, but animal blood, all animal blood is asur, so I might think that all human blood is asur as well. Therefore it says, I think also by the camel, hu tameh vein dam al cheshtayim tameh, that the camel is tameh, but the blood of a human is not forbidden. Ela tahor, it is permitted. And Rav Sheshes says that when it comes to human milk, there isn't even any Isser D'Rabbanan. There's no problem with human milk. So on the one hand, we're saying that after 24 months, human milk is a problem, right? That after a child can nurse for 24 months, up to 24 months, but after that, the milk is sheket. It's like disgusting. It's a problem, and yet we're saying that human milk is permitted. So l'kash, it's no problem. The parsha to l'parsha depends. If you have a glass of human milk, then that is permitted. But if you're nursing human milk, then that becomes a problem after 24 months. Okay. And it's punkt fakert when it comes to blood. It's yapsa when it comes to blood. That blood, when it's like in your body, so if you're like bleeding in your mouth, that's okay. But if it's outside of your body, that would be a problem. Kedetanis, we learn in the Brisa, dam she'al gabi kikar, that if you have blood on top of bread, so gorov ochlo, remove it, and then you can eat the bread, I think. Shebein ashinaim motzitzov ve'eno choshesh, but if it's in your mouth, so then you can just swallow it, and it isn't a big deal. Amar Mai, we said earlier, Rabbi Yeshua, Mrs. Rabbi Yeshua, afilu arba v'chom mishanim, that a child can nurse for even for 4 or 5 years. But Tani, we learn in the Brisa, Rabbi Yeshua, Amar afilu chavilas al kseifav. Rabbi Yeshua says that a child can nurse even if he's got his backpack on his back. I guess he's like getting big. So which one is it? Is it 4 or 5 years, or is it with the backpack on his back? So it's the same thing. The backpack on the back is the same thing as 4 and 5 years. It's the same amount. Amr Rav Yosef halacha Rabbi Yeshua, and says Rav Yosef that the halacha is taka like Rabbi Yeshua, that a child can nurse for 4 or 5 years. Tani, we learn in the Brisa, Rav Marinus, Omer says Rav Marinus, Goneach yonik cholav b'Shabbos, that a child who is crying can nurse on Shabbos. The question being that extracting milk is mefarik. So my time, how come a crying baby can nurse on Shabbos? Yonik mefarik l'achayad, because nursing is not your normal way of extracting milk, right? I guess you don't really nurse cow. I guess you wouldn't. Yeah, I guess you would extract milk from a cow differently than you would extract milk from a mother, and therefore nursing isn't the malacha, is sort of not the normal way of the malacha of mefarik. And if the child is in discomfort, so nursing would be permitted. Amr of Yosef says of Yosef halacha Reb Marinus, that the halacha is Reb Marinus. Tanya, we learn in the Brisa, Nachum ish Galia Omers. It says Nachum ish Galia, I have a friend whose daughter's name is Galia Rachel. Okay, all right. Tzino she'alubo kaskasin, that if you have a gada, like a gada on the roof, is there anybody in Babylon Talmud group who talks about, like, says, hey, don't walk in the gutter? I associate that with my great uncle. I mean, it was a different generation. So he would talk about the gutter. I was thinking the roof. Somebody had to explain to me, no, the gutter is the middle of the street. Don't walk in the gutter. Or don't play ball in the gutter. Don't hang out in the gutter. So that means the middle of the street. Does anybody in Babylon Talmud talk like that, or even or across the board? It's a Frida Gadar. It's a prior generation. Don't walk in the gutter. My great uncle also had this trick. Did I ever tell you this trick? Don't tell anybody, because then everyone's going to know it. But if you add more water to the ketchup, you get more ketchup. That blew my mind. Anyways. So tzino she'alubo kaskasin memaychen baragloi. Granted, I was much younger than I am now. In Achinami. He was a good man. Uncle Moti. He was a big tzaddik, l'maisa. Tzinu she'alubo kaskasin memaychen braglo b'tzinu b'Shabbos. So if your gutter, but not the middle of the street, the gutter of the roof has like all sorts of junk in there, So you can clean it out with your foot on Shabbos, bitzina, quietly, nobody should see, ve'enu choshesh, and that's okay. My time, because it's not your normal way of fixing a gutter, so it's okay. And if you don't fix it, then water is going to leak into the house, it's going to cause damage, so therefore, cleaning out the gutter in this not normal way is acceptable. Amr of Yosef, halacha k'nochem ish galya, and says of Yosef that the halacha is like nochem ish galya, that you'd be permitted to clean out the gutter in such a way. Also, we said that if after 20, so according to Rabbi Yeshua, if after 24 months the yingel stopped nursing, but then resumed, so it's no good. How long does the little guy need to take a break prior to resuming, in order for it to be considered no good? Amr Yehuda bar Chaviva Amr Shmuel shlosha yomim, 3 days. Ikidam, those who say Tani Rav Yehuda bar Chaviva Kama de Shmuel shlosha yomim. Those who say not that Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, but that Rav Yehuda bar Chaviva said before Shmuel, in front of Shmuel, 3 days. Tani Rabbanan, the rabbis taught Manika shemeis baila. So if you have a woman who gave birth, and then her husband died, and she's nursing. So for the first, what did I just say? Okay. So Rav Meir's opinion is that if a woman gives birth, right, and she's nursing, and then her husband dies, so she should wait 24 months before getting remarried, because if she gets pregnant with the new husband and she stops producing milk, and it becomes difficult to nurse, so there's no guarantee that the new husband is going to spend money paying for eggs and milk, says Rashi, for the baby. So therefore, wait 24 months, finish nursing the baby, and then you can get remarried. That's Rav Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda matir b'shmona aser chodesh. Rabbi Yehuda cuts that down to 18 months. So wait 18 months from when the baby is born, and then you can get remarried. Amr ibn Nosim bar Yosef heinin divrei b'shamei v'sil heinin divrei b'shamei heinin divrei b'sil, says of Nosim bar Yosef that this is also the opinions of b'shamei and b'sil respectively. B'shamei om esim v'arba chodesh, b'sil om shmona aser chodesh. That b'shamei says 24 months and b'sil says 18 months. Amr of Shimon ben Gamliel says of Shimon ben Gamliel ani achriya l'divrei omer esim v'arba chodesh mutaris l'nasi b'esim ve'echad chodesh l'divrei omer b'shmona aser chodesh mutaris l'nasi b'chamisha aser chodesh. So says Reb Shimon ben Gamliel that actually, according to the opinion that you have to wait 24 months, really she can already get remarried after 21 months. And according to the opinion that says you have to wait 18 months, she can already get remarried after 15 months. Because it takes 3 months before the milk becomes problematic. So, meaning, we're saying that she needs to wait 24 months to get remarried because she needs to nurse the baby for 24 months. The thing is, she can already technically get married. It says Reb Shimon Gamliel, she could already technically get remarried at 21 months, because even if she gets remarried and becomes pregnant, it's going to take 3 months before the her milk starts becoming problematic for her existing child, by which point it would already be 24 months, where the child wouldn't be nursing anymore. Amr Ula says Ula, halacha Reb Yehuda, that the halacha is like Reb Yehuda, who says 18 months. From Ma'ukva, and says Ma'ukva, lo hiti Reb Chanina, lo says la'achar, what? V'amar Mar Ukva li hiti Reb Chanina lasis la'achar chamisha asar chodesh, says Mar Ukva that Reb Chanina permitted him to marry a woman who was nursing after 15 months. So that's the 18 months of Reb Yehuda, but 3 months prior, like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Arise da Abai had a sharecropper, also l'kamed Abai, who came before Abai, Omerle, and the sharecropper says to Abai, Ma'ulei Arz b'chamisha asar chodesh, can I get engaged to a woman who gave birth 15 months ago? Omerle. So Abai says to the sharecropper, Chada, Jamei Rabbi Yehuda, Alacha Kramer. Well, first of all, as we learned in Masechta Eruvin, when you have machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir who says 24 months and Rabbi Yehuda says 18 months, the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. So 18 months it is. Ve'od, Beishame V'sil Alacha K'Beishame. Of course, we know that when there's machlokas Beishame V'sil, we pass in like Beisila. So, and Beisila says 18 months. And Ula says the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, 18 months. And Mar Ukva says that Reb Chanina allowed him to get married after 15 months. If Mar Ukva was allowed to get married after 15 months, certainly you should be able to get engaged after 15 months. So Kiyosef the comment of Yosef, but then later on, Abaye goes to Rav Yosef. But when Abaye got to Rav Yosef said to Abaye that Rav and Shmuel both say that actually you have to wait 24 months. Excluding 24 months, excluding the day that the baby was born and excluding the day that she gets engaged. Meaning the baby's born, you can start counting 24 months the next day. And then the day after the 24 months are over, she can get engaged. So Abaye just paskined for his sharecropper that he can get engaged after 15 months. And yet Rav Yosef is saying, actually, Abaye's Rebbe Rav Yosef is saying that Rav and Shmuel say that you have to wait 24 months. Rod Basri Tlosa Parse, Abaye chased after the sharecropper for 3 parsas. The Amrila Parsa B'cholo, or some say it was 1 parsa, but in sand, a difficult terrain to traverse. V'lo adruche, and he couldn't find the sharecropper. Omar Abaye, says Abaye, Hamil Sodom Rabbanan, now I understand that which the rabbi said. Afilu Be'asa B'kuscha, Lo Lishrei Inish B'makom Rabbe, that a fellow shouldn't even permit an egg with kutach, like dip or something. He shouldn't even permit that in the presence of, right, in the place where his rabbi lives. I guess they're both in Pumbedisa. Lo mishum d'metzli ka'afkirusa, not because it's chutzpahdik, but ela mishum d'lo mistayeh milsa l'meimer. You're not going to get it right. Right? So meaning Abaye had paskined what he thought was, seemed to make sense, that this fellow can get engaged after 15 months. Rav Yosef later then told him that no, it's actually 24 months. And Abaye says, wow, well, there you see. I really shouldn't have been paskening any kind of halacha at all when Rav Yosef is around. Because says Abaye, look, I'm familiar with what Rav Yosef said, that Rav and Shmuel say that you have to wait 24 months. I'm familiar with that, yet somehow I still managed to miss it. I still managed to get it wrong. Says Abaye, look, there you see, I really should not have been passing halacha when Rav Yosef was around. What if you have a woman who gives her child to a wet nurse? So the mother is not actually nursing the child. Or she weaned the child and the child isn't nursing anymore, even though it's still within 24 months. Or the child died, and then obviously she's not going to be nursing the child. Miyad. So in this case, she's not nursing, right? Either there's a wet nurse, or the child is weaned, or the child unfortunately died. So Muteris Linosa Miyad, she can get remarried at that point immediately, because you don't have to worry about her being able to feed the child. That's not an issue. So Papa and Rav Huna figured, okay, that sounds good, right? We have a brisa that says that if the woman is not actually nursing, so she can get remarried within 24 months. A certain, grandmother said to, or a certain woman said to Rav Papa and Rav Huna Ber Rav Yeshua that actually B'didi Ava Uvda, that there was a case with me, V'asuli Rav Nachman, and Rav Nachman actually said that you cannot get remarried within 24 months, even though you're not currently nursing. Ini, is that true? For Rav Nachman Sharluhu Leveresh Gelusa, but Rav Nachman permitted by the Reish Gelusa. The Reish Gelusa was of course wealthy, and the women in the Reish Gelusa's house would not nurse their own children. They would have wet nurses. And Rav Nachman said, okay, so you can get remarried within 24 months because you're not nursing your children. Shiny Reish Gelusa de lo Hadrabu. So we say, okay, the Reish Gelusa is a unique situation because the Reish Gelusa was a very powerful political family, and any wet nurse is not going to renege on her deal and just stop nursing. Whereas it could have, if you're not the Reish Gelusa with your political, scary, intimidating connections, so you're just a regular person and you hire a wet nurse, that's not reason to be able to get remarried within 24 months, because what if the wet nurse quits? You're going to have to nurse the baby. And if you get remarried, it could be problematic. It could be dangerous. So therefore, while Rav Nachman permitted the Reish Gelusa, the women of the Reish Galusa to get married within 24 months because they had wet nurses that were reliable one way or another. That wouldn't necessarily be the case. He wouldn't paskin the same way for people who were not the Reish Galusa. Amlu Rav Papi says Rav Papi to Rav Papa and Rav Huna Ber Rav Yeshua v'atanu tizbu mehot detanya. But one second, what made you think to say in the first place that if a woman is not nursing, she'd be able to get remarried? What about the following brayso? If you have a wife who for whatever reason was at her father's house, she wasn't with her husband, or she was having fight, she was fighting with her husband, and she wasn't sleeping with him. Or her husband was in jail, so she definitely wasn't sleeping with him. He was in prison. Or he went traveling someplace. Or he was old, or chole, or sick, or shaisa akare, or she was unable to have children, vizikena, or too old. Ailonis, a woman who doesn't have children. Viktana, or she was a minor. Vamapelas achar misas bailo, or she miscarried after her husband died. Mishe'ena ru'uya leiled, or she's unable to have children. So basically, these are all situations where you can assume that this woman is not going to be nursing. So kulan tzrichos lamtin shlosha chodashim, right? And they're not going to get pregnant. Nonetheless, they have to wait 3 months before getting remarried. Divrei Meir, that is Rav Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yossi Mati Le'oretz v'Nasim Miyad, whereas Rabbi Yossi says that in this case, if she's definitely not pregnant, right? We learned about this in Masechet Yevamos. In this case, if she's definitely not pregnant, well then she would be able to get remarried immediately. But Rav Nachman and Mashmuel says Rav Nachman's name is Shmuel, halacha Rav Meir b'Gzeirosov, that the halacha is Rav Meir when he is more stringent. And therefore here he's being more stringent, and we should say, so just like over there, when you know for sure that this woman wasn't getting pregnant, and still Rav Meir says you have to wait 3 months. So here also, even though this woman isn't nursing, still you would have to wait 24 months. So Amri Lei Lava Daitin. So Rav Papa and Rav Huna Ber Rav Yeshua said to Rav Papi, we weren't aware of this brayse. The halacha is meis mutter, that if the child unfortunately died, so then she can get remarried immediately. Gimalatu, but if she weaned the child, also she can't get remarried until after 24 months. Mabar Avashi Omar, Afilu Meis Nami also. Mabar Avashi said that even if the child died, it's also not allowed. Dilma Katla Lei, because then she might kill the child in order to get remarried. Va'azla Minsaban shall go get remarried. Hava Uvda V'chan Kose. There was once a story where a woman strangled her child. V'lohi, it's not true. Hayishotavai, it's not. She was somebody who was a shota. Women don't generally strangle their children to death. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis thought, if a woman was given a child to nurse, right, as a wet nurse, so she should not nurse with this child who she's being paid to nurse, lo bina, not her son, v'lo ben chaverta, and not somebody else's, not her friend's son, right? So if she's being hired as a wet nurse, so then she should be nursing that child who she's hired to nurse exclusively, not her son and not her friend's son. Even if she's being paid not enough money to support the diet that she needs in order to be nursing, nonetheless, she still needs to eat a lot. The Gemara is going to ask, so who's paying for that? And don't eat, while being hired as a wet nurse, don't eat things that would be bad have a negative impact on milk production. Now, if we had said that when she is working as a wet nurse, when she's hired as a wet nurse, she can't even be nursing her own baby at that time. So then, if she can't be nursing her own baby, certainly she shouldn't be nursing her friend's baby. Well, you might think that specifically her own child, she shouldn't be nursing because she sort of cares a lot about her own child, and she may be nursing her own child more than the child that she's been paid and hired to nurse. So therefore we say don't nurse your own child with the child who you're being hired to nurse. Aval ben chaverta, but I might think that my friend's, her friend's baby, ilav dahava la moser lo ava mamsile, that if not, that for the fact that she was able to produce extra milk, she wouldn't offer it. So Kamash Milan, even so, if you're being hired to nurse somebody else's child, only nurse that child. We said that if they're not paying her that much money, she still has to eat a lot in order to, have the proper nutrition to be able to nurse. Who's paying for that? She has to pay for it. Now 1 second, I'm going to pull out the art scroll here because I didn't take the time to write down all of these things, so I'm just going to read it. Where am I? Yeah, okay. Tana Rabbanan? No, did that. Pascha Kimmer, we did that. Lo sochal imo. Oh, she may not eat while she's under contract with the child. Tvar maraim, things which are detrimental for milk. My nino, what are these things? Amr Rav Kana says, Rav Kana, kugon kshus v'chazis v'dagim ktanim v'adama. Things such as hops, grain sproutings, small fish, and earth. I guess like clay or something. Abaya Amr says, Abaya, afilu kara v'chabusha, even squash and quince. Rav Papa Amr says, Rav Papa, afilu kura v'chufra, even palm shoots and unripened dates. Rav Ashi Amr says, Rav Ashi, afilu kamka v'harsena, even kutach and fish hash. Fish hash? Interesting. Okay. The Gemara explains how the aforementioned things are detrimental for milk. Minayu paski chalba. Some of them cause the woman to stop producing milk. Minayu achri chalba. Some of them turn the milk turbid. Huh. Well, friends, that was the Samach of Masechta Ksubis. So we started off talking about the things that a woman does for her husband, such as, right, we talked about grinding. But we said, wait, the wheels turn in the water to grind. So we said it's the Facebook Meta grinding things. And then we moved on to like nursing babies that we saw the machlokas between Beishami and Beisil, that basically Beishami says that she doesn't need to nurse the baby, and Beisil says that she does need to nurse the baby. We said that if the child recognizes the mother, so then even if they get divorced and she doesn't need to, nurse the child as part of sort of the marriage sort of obligations. But if the child recognizes the mother, so then she would need to continue nursing the child. And how long does it take for the child to recognize the mother? We saw 3 opinions: 30 days, 50 days, and 90 days. Although we did say that the 30 days opinion, which was Shmuel, actually was however long it takes until the child recognizes the mother. We said that we saw machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua about how long to nurse a child for. Rabbi Eliezer says up to 24 months. Rabbi Yoshua says up to 4 or 5 years, as long as the child has not stopped for 3 days in the middle. We then saw a sugya about human milk and blood. That human milk and human blood are both mutter, interestingly. We said though that maybe human milk, once it's like, in a glass, so then it's okay, but nursing after 2 years could, according to Rabbi Eliezer at least, it becomes a problem. We saw a machlokas regarding a woman who is nursing and her husband dies. At what point can she get remarried? We saw kind of a few different opinions, but essentially either 24 months or 18 months. Rav Shimon Gamliel said that actually it could be 3 months prior, because it takes 3 months for the milk to actually become problematic. Okay, and then we had the sugya of if you're not nursing, but you have like a wet nurse, can you get married immediately? Essentially, it sounds like we said no. Friends, that was Daf Samich of Masechta Ksubis. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.